Hello and welcome to the Total Entertainment Podcast with me, Paul Collis, your host. Today we're going to be delving into the realm of the specials. Now, why the specials? Well, we're going to go and see their show today, and I just want to give you a little bit of a background if you don't know who they are. The Specials, also known as The Special aka, are an English two-tone and ska revival band formed in 1977. The Specials came from a town called Coventry. After some band changes, the first stable lineup of the group consisted of Terry Hall and Neville Staple on vocals, Linval Golding and Roddy Radiation on guitars, Horace Panter on bass, Jerry Dammers on keyboards, John Bradbury on drums, and Dick Cuffle and Rico Rodriguez on horns. Their music combines a danceable ska and rocksteady beat with punk's energy and attitude. The Special songs are based on social and political commentaries. After 7 consecutive UK top 10 singles between 1979 and 1981, main lead vocalist Hall and Staple, along with guitarist Golden, left to become the band Funboy 3. Continuing as The Special aka, a name they used very frequently in their early Specials releases, a substantially revised Specials lineup issued new material until 1984, including the top 10 UK hit single Free Nelson Mandela. After this, founder and songwriter Jerry Dammers dissolved the band and pursued political activism. The group reformed in 1993 and have continued to perform and record with varying lineups, none of them involving Dammers. So far, there have been 34 members of the Specials, 3 different keyboard players, 5 different drummers, 5 different percussionists, 5 different singers, 5 guitar players, 2 bass players, 1 dedicated horns, 2 people on trombone, and 2 people on trumpet, and 1 saxophone player. Some members have played multiple instruments at various times of being in and out of the band, and some members have come back multiple times. The former members list is massive, it's phenomenal. So, the people who are no longer in the band are Jerry Dammers. He played keyboards and was the main songwriter. He had Silverton Hutchinson on drums, Tim Strickland on vocals, Roddy Radiation on lead guitar and vocals, Neville Staple doing vocals and percussion, John Bradbury on drums until he died, unfortunately, Dick Cuffle, who was on the flugelhorn, Rico Rodriguez on the trombone, and he died as well, Rhonda Dakar on vocals, John Shipley on guitar, Satch Dickinson doing percussion, Groko on percussion, Anthony Wilmshurst on guitar, Stan Campbell on vocals, Egidio Newsons on vocals and percussion, Nick Parker on vocals, Gary McManus on bass guitar, John Reed doing the trumpet and percussion, Adam Birch on trumpet, Mark Adams doing keyboard, Charlie Harrington Bembridge doing drums, Neil Davis on rhythm guitar and vocals, G Stanswell on saxophone and flute, Gary Powell on drums. Now that's a long list, and here is the current members. So these are the people who I'm going to be seeing today, and let's go through that list, shall we? So you got Linval Golding on rhythm guitar and vocals, Horace Panter on bass guitar, Terry Hall on vocals, Tim Smart on trombone, Nicola Torp Larson on keyboards, Steve Craddock on lead guitar, Pablo Mendelosson on trumpet, Kenrick Rowe on drums, Hannah Hu on backing vocals, and Stan Samuels doing rhythm guitar. So yeah, there's been a massive lineup change for various different reasons. Some people fell out, some people got busy, some people just didn't want to do it no more. So you got today at the Motorpoint Arena in Cardiff. Then on the 11th, you've got the Rico Arena in Coventry. That's a quick turnaround. Couple of days off. On the 13th, you've got the Bonus Arena in Hull. Then the next day, you got the Empress Ballroom in Blackpool. Then September the 16th, you got the O2 Academy in Birmingham. Then on the 17th, you got the Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham, not Cardiff. September the 18th, you've got Doncaster Dome. September the 20th, you've got the O2 City Hall in Newcastle. Then September the 21st, you've got Rivermead in Reading. September the 23rd, Roundhouse in London. That's a good venue. I love that venue. Then you've got September the 24th, another go at the Roundhouse in London. Then September the 25th, the Troxy in London. So most of these dates are quite sold out, and if you're lucky and if you haven't got a ticket and you want one, you could still get lucky if you check out the 11th at Coventry, the 13th in Hull, the 14th in Blackpool, and the 16th in Birmingham. There are a few tickets left going in Newcastle on the 20th and Reading at Rivermead. And yep, there's one last venue in London that's still got tickets as per this recording, and that is the Troxy in London. So if you're still trying to get a ticket, try your best on the venues that I said. We'll be back after this.
The name's Vert, Percival Reginald Vert, and I run the P.I Detective Agency. The year is 2055 and the police have been defunded, so if you need a police investigation, the cops will charge you 1,000 big ones a day. Because of this, the government introduced the P.I Act, where the private investigators can undercut the police so justice can become affordable. These are my case files. New episode this Wednesday. Link is in the description.
Hi, I'm down live at the Motorpoint Arena. Well, I say live, I'm recording this live, and and I'm just in my little cubby hole within the Motorpoint Arena. On this podcast, we're not going to be giving any of the performance because we can't do that, that's copyright. Now, you would have heard some music just a moment ago. Now, that isn't actually from the band or anyone, that's the crew doing a line check of all the microphone feeds and the guitar feeds and everything. It's a bit fun, you know. Some shows they allow the crew to just play whatever they want during the line check. They are not doing an actual sound check because the specials know their songs inside out. They all know how to play the songs. They just needed to make sure that every microphone, every guitar, every part of the drum kit is all working, all mic'd up, ready to go. And that's how it will stay, all switched on, ready to go. And it's all muted by the sound desk front of the house, if you didn't already know that. One thing I haven't pointed out is who's actually supporting the specials, and it's actually Pete Williams. Now, if you don't know who Pete Williams is, he was born in 1960, he's an English singer, songwriter and musician, and mostly known for his work with Dexy Midnight Runners, The Bureau, and these days Tender Virtues. He is an original member of Dexy Midnight Runners and played on the #1 single Gino. Williams played in the 2012 album One Day I'm Going to Soar by Dexys and sang with frontman Kevin Rowland on the Jules' annual Hootenanny TV show on the 31st of December 2012. He was a special guest for the Proclaimers on their tour in 2019 and the specials on this tour in 2021. One thing that I can tell you from waiting for all the crowd to come in is everyone is being very socially distanced, which is a good thing. I would like to see a bit more normality, but it's not its time to be completely normal. Normally you'd have the crowd crushing down at the stage, in front of the stage, because it's a standing gig, but not today. Everyone's a bit apprehensive, and I don't blame them. As and when the pandemic's declared over, there will be a massive sense of normality. Masks were mandated for the venue by the Welsh Government, and if you're exempt, then you're exempt, that's not a problem. Unfortunately, masks is just a big must in Wales compared to other places in the UK. But I can see a lot of people with masks, and I can see a handful of people who are obviously exempt. So that is a good thing. And it looks like people are actually enjoying themselves whilst they're waiting for the support act, Pete Williams, to come on. Tonight wasn't a sellout, and from what I was told by someone who will not be named, he was saying to me that there had been a lot of dropouts. They lost 600 tickets over the last couple of days. Sometimes you can't blame them if you're a bit apprehensive. We are still technically within the pandemic, but there are plenty of people here, and there's lots of people still streaming through the doors bit by bit. The pre-show state looks it looks like an empty stage, which is good. It's got Congo blues on it. It just stands out like a dormant stage, and you can see some of the instruments just lit up and bouncing off the lovely Congo blues. And if you don't know what Congo blue is, it looks like UV, but it's not actually UV. It's as close to UV as you can, so people don't get cataracts in their eyes. Pete Williams' set will start at just about 8 o'clock, and he'll be playing for about 45 minutes, and the specials will start bang on 9 o'clock. So I'm looking forward to this. I've never seen the specials live, and now it's time that I have. So I'm itching for this. I am really itching, and with it being the reopening of the Motorpoint Arena, I'm really excited for this show. I really am. It's been too long, far too long. It's 20 minutes until Pete Williams starts his support set for the specials, and we're looking nicely full, but there's lots of empty space around, which for the COVID situation is pretty good actually. It's not looking dreadfully empty, but it's looking patchy, which is good because everyone's just keeping within their own little bubbles, and I do like that, I really do. With a bit of luck, normality will return at some point, but for now this is absolutely perfect. You couldn't ask for anything better, in my opinion. It's the best of both worlds. The atmosphere here is pretty good actually. Everyone's quite lively, and they all seem to be enjoying themselves. I can see one guy laid out on the floor, just on his side with his beer in front of him, and his mate casually just sat next to him drinking, and it looks nice and casual. You wouldn't expect that back in the day. It just wouldn't happen. We'll be back after this. This podcast contains themes that are unsuitable for younger listeners, and parental guidance is advised. It's been 30 years since they came. 30 years? No! They took my child. 30 years. I'm gonna kill you. No! It's been 30 years since they came. New episodes every Friday. And we're back. So Pete Williams' section of the show seemed to go pretty goddamn well, and the audience loved it. They're lapping him up, responding, and dancing and singing along in some cases as well. And Pete Williams, he had the stage on his own. Unfortunately, he only had a small section of stage. He only had a small U shape of curtain, which just about fit his little band in there at the front of the stage. Now, when you're a support, you only get what bit of stage that they can afford to give you, because if the band covers most of the stage, you got to be set up in whatever space is available. But it worked. The lights were basic because there's only a small amount of space for Pete Williams' band, so the more basic the better. It seems to have gone really well. I totally enjoyed that section, I must say, and to be honest, when he was in Dexy's Midnight Runners, I was a little boy, so I don't really recall him that much. But I have to say, his voice sounds amazing for his age. I mean, proper on point and on form. And you couldn't ask for better. You really could not ask for a better support act. If I was to rate it out of 5 stars, I'd give him a 6. He had the stage, he held the crowd in the palm of his hand, and they enjoyed it. They thoroughly enjoyed themselves. So just before the specials are about to go on, we got about 3,000 people in here, and there's a few more still to come through the door, so they've had to just hold off for a little bit. So now the special's going on at 9:15 as opposed to 9 o'clock, which is okay because it gives people a bit more time to get their asses to the bar before the lights go back down. There's still plenty of space on the floor. It's a bit more bunched up, but even with the crowd still bunched up, they're nicely pocketed. So, and people are still keeping their distance outside of the little groups, which is still another good sign, I have to say. It's very encouraging, although they were allowed up to 7,000 tickets, and only 3,000 got sold because of the pandemic. But, you know, it's the first gig back in this venue, and there are smaller venues that have been open a little bit longer, because they've had clearance to do so. The Motorpoint has just started back today because they wanted to get everything just right, and they also had to rehire enough security, enough stewards, enough bar staff, the technical team, the people behind the scenes that make it all happen in the office. They needed to rehire absolutely everyone. They've done well. They've done very well today, and I have to say the crowd are mostly behaved. There's been one ejection because a lady got completely drunk, but you know, that's still a quiet night in a massive arena. And we'll be right back after this. If you like our content, why not check out our X-Review channel on YouTube. The X-Review is honest and sometimes brutal reactions to music videos past and present. This channel is not for children, so viewer discretion is advised. And we're back. I'm on my way home, and that show was amazing for what it was. I'm not going to say the lights were amazing, but they were the best they could have been with the small amount of lights that they had. The sound was clean. Every song sounded crisp. You could hear absolutely everything. It was such a good mix up until the encore, where you had a lot of feedback in the encore song. And that encore song was Ghost Town. That was to be expected. Specials, they had the crowd eating out the palm of their hand. They loved the show, and to be honest, I don't blame them. If you were a super fan of the band, you would love their show. And just like with any other band, if you're a super fan, you'd love it. The band can play live. They haven't, as far as I'm concerned, they haven't lost it, and the sound engineer gave CD quality sound. His mix was astounding, and with the equipment that they had, yeah, it was perfect for what they had. I wouldn't say that they had budget equipment, they just didn't have that much equipment. And why? Because sometimes less is more, and that is exactly what I noticed about the entire show. Even the support, less is definitely more. You don't need a 10-truck show for something like the specials. They're all getting older and wiser. They don't need a shed load of lights. They don't need a ridiculous PA, although I have to say they spent more money on their PA than they did in their lighting rig. Now, for a band that's relatively small, it was bassy. And why was it bassy? Because it was two-step ska. You need the bass. And they had something ridiculous like 20 bass bins scattered around the front of the stage and to the sides underneath their line arrays. And the line arrays were big. You had like 20 speakers in each line array. That's a lot of power. For a band that size, if it was any other kind of band, you wouldn't need half as much bass. But because it was two-step ska, I don't think they had enough. Although I have to say, the only band that I've ever known with absolutely more bass than anyone ever, that was the Prodigy, and they had more bass than they had speakers, more bass than mid and top end tweeters. It was ridiculous. But I digress. I'm going to get back to the specials and the crowd. They could have had more audience in there, but I just put it down to the pandemic, where people are still a bit cagey and nervous to turn up, especially with the specials, because a lot of their fans would be older. So if I'm nearly 40, their average age was 55, which is not a problem at all, because those were the people who were in their 20s when the specials come out, and that's how it is. The audience, they were bouncing when it was time to bounce. They were dancing when it was time to dance. They were enjoying themselves. The crowd really enjoyed this show, and you could tell it had such a massive, vibrant atmosphere. And that was one thing that was lacking, in my personal opinion, for the whole of the pandemic. You didn't have the fun, the atmosphere, and the raw feeling and emotion of people that were doing something that they loved doing, i.e. watching a band that they've loved for many, many years. The Specials were definitely a good show to watch. Would I go out my way to get a ticket? Maybe, but then again, I've not been a super fan of the Specials. I like a few of their songs, don't get me wrong, but you would find other people better suited to it. This show, tonight's show, was postponed 3 times. 3 times because of the pandemic, and they had to keep moving the dates around on the tour. The Motorpoint Arena could have reopened a lot sooner. They had 6 weeks to reopen, and they wanted to get it right. But also the Specials had to get their ticket numbers right, or it just wouldn't be commercially viable, which unfortunately they could have made a lot more money had it been normal times. But this entire week they'd lost the best part of 1,000 members of the audience. 1,000 people said no, they didn't want to use their tickets, they wanted a refund. And that's before they all, that was before the show was on, because they thought, you know what, I'm going to back down, pandemic's not over, and we don't know if the Motorpoint Arena is COVID safe yet, which it actually is. There's lots of procedures in place, but because it was the first show since given clearance by the Welsh Government to reopen, I can see why people just didn't want to take the risk. As time goes on, there will be more confidence within the industry, which will get more people back in, but it's just a matter of time. This month we've got a few big bands in, one of which is McFly, and I can guarantee that will be a sellout, but only time will tell. Thank you for listening. If you're a solo singer or in a band, or even a street performer, singer or dancer, and you want an interview, why not contact us by emailing musterxmedia1983@gmail.com, and we'll get you on the show. Until next time guys, thank you very much, and I'll catch you soon.